In this video, I'm going to share with you online facilitation skills from the real world, stuff that works, stuff I've used that's going to really help to make your online workshops brilliant. I'm going to share with you examples and real world practice from the sessions I've run that work for whatever kind of workshop you're trying to run. We're going to talk about how online differs from in-person events and how it doesn't differ. How many things are exactly the same, and it's about good facilitation. By the end of this video, you will have a whole bunch of tools, tips and techniques that you can use to make your sessions fantastic and do a great job of your online facilitating. I think the first thing to say about running sessions online is a lot of it's exactly the same as running in-person workshops from a facilitator's perspective. You need to be focusing on being a good facilitator in the session first and foremost. What does that mean? Well, that means sticking to the 4 golden rules. We'll talk about that in a moment. And it means ensuring you are managing that session really well. And of course, it all starts with the preparation and making sure that you've got a really good agenda, really clear aims, and that your participants know why they're there. So I'm going to set some of that out for you right now, and then we'll talk about some of the tricks to getting those quieter participants involved and indeed how to manage some of those more vocal contributors that we've all experienced. Like all meetings and workshops, it's really important to be clear about your aims for the session. This really helps you to focus your agenda to make sure you're making progress towards the outcome, so that your client or sponsor's happy with that we've made some progress and indeed the team have moved on. Importantly, that the participants also understand why they're there. Workshop skeptics, and we've all had a few in our sessions, I'm sure, are the most easy way, if you like, to win them over is to be clear about why you're here. What contribution are we expecting and what is it we're trying to get to today? So get clear on the aim or aims. And we will often do that working with our clients by taking them through a bit of a process to asking them what we're there to do, but then just really helping them to think clearly about what is it that you really want out of it, what can be expected in the time that you have available. In that same discussion, I would also want to be talking to the client or the sponsor about the participants that they're expecting to come to the session. What I would love to know is, are there any difficult participants, people that I need to watch out for, or difficult relationships? Have we got some clients that we know, some of the participants that we know don't get on that well? Useful to know that in advance. But I also want to know maybe something about their job role and what they're likely to be able to bring to that session. And that helps me to prepare so I can bring in people, particularly if they're a bit quieter and I want to hear their point of view. It's nice to know when and where I should be expecting people to get involved in that session. So once you're clear on the aim, then the next part that we get involved with is developing the detailed agenda. So this obviously is dependent on the time you have available for your session. And a note on that, by the way, the common view that I hear about on lots of YouTube videos and read about is that online workshops should be shorter than in-person workshops. I'm not sure I agree. I think all workshops should be as short as they can be, but I think online, as long as you give breaks and as long as you manage the session well. I've run all-day sessions many times and the participants have given great feedback and had a fantastic day. So whilst Zoom fatigue is a real thing, people sitting in front of their desks all day is hard work, you can build in enough breaks into your session, and importantly, in your detailed agenda, ensure that there's enough variety in your sessions. So if you're running a post-it session using an online whiteboard, then you might follow that with something completely different. Perhaps as a presentation and discussion, perhaps as a Q&A session, or maybe a voting session, something that's just different all the time. And when designing a detailed agenda, I'm not only thinking about how I move the group through a journey, a discovery to the aims, I'm also thinking about how that feels as a journey for the participants, so that it tries to keep as many people interested for as much of the time as possible. So once you've got a detailed agenda, then it's time to prepare the participant agenda, the one that you're going to send out to them in advance. Now, it's really important here that they understand the aim of the session, so I would typically start with a short sentence or paragraph explaining what we're trying to get out of that session. The reason for that is that I want the participants to be able to prepare their thoughts if they want to. That's for the more introvert thinkers. They do tend to, the introvert thinking type tends to want more time to reflect on things and consider their view. So let's help them do that. So giving a short description really works to do that. And then I will have the timings of breaks. I tend not to put the timing of the sessions into a participant facing agenda, and that's really because I might want to change things up as we're going through the session. Now, if I've got a really important session to run, then I might suggest speaking to each of the participants prior to the session. I just did this recently with a board strategy session. We had 15 people in that. It was a half-day session, and I had a half-hour call with each of them to talk to them about what we were trying to achieve and to get their views, their thoughts on that. So I'm building in their buy-in, if you like, to the agenda. And then I'm also interested in advice from them. I asked all of them, what advice would you give me? They knew their group. I did not know them. I hadn't worked with them before. So it was really helpful to get their steer on that. And the important thing here is I'm getting their buy-in to that agenda. That helps enormously on the day with no surprises. So they all know what we're here to do. They all know how it's going to work. And you don't have that really awkward moment where somebody says, hang on, why are we doing this session? I've had to deal with that live a couple of times in my real world examples. Perhaps I'll share with you more about how I handled those, but that's one of the most challenging things that can happen to a facilitator, is to have your agenda questioned at the outset. So if you've got the time and if it's important enough to do, then have a chat with those participants in advance, take them through it. It will make you feel more comfortable and more clear as well. One step further than a conversation with participants is researching them. Now, if you want to ensure people are making a contribution, you can find out who's coming, get onto their LinkedIn profile, look them up on Twitter, have a look at their company website and see if you can find them on there. I guarantee that for everybody you can find online, there will be something you can use to draw them into that session. Whether that's a previous job or current job experience on LinkedIn, it might be a post they've made on Twitter, it might be something their company's doing. I've recently ran some round table sessions online. So these are sort of intensive hour-and-a-half conversations with about 12 people. For those, I spent a day and a half to 2 days researching the people coming and making sure I had lots of content on them that I could draw them in. I could use that to get them into the session, get them participating. So really well worth doing, and really helps you on the day make sure that you can bring people in and shows you've done your homework, which of course looks great, and it's really helpful to making their relationship with you feel better, that you've bothered to spend the time getting to know them. Online workshops are best done around an online whiteboard. There's not many workshops I can imagine online where you wouldn't benefit from having some online whiteboard. We use Mural quite a lot. There are others, Miro, Zoom have one, Google has one. But for Mural, what I will do in advance of the session is set up that whiteboard with the session instructions. So if I've got, say, 5 sessions to run, I'll have the numbers 1 to 5. I have some brief outline explanation notes on the whiteboard for the participants, and any frameworks or templates I want. So if that's a 2x2 Boston matrix for prioritizing, perhaps it's as simple as putting some colored post-it notes up with names on them so that we know which participants are using which color post-it notes. You can use a variety of things, and we can share some of those with you in later videos. The key reason for setting up your whiteboard is twofold. Firstly, it saves you a bunch of time in the session. So you don't want to be spending a great deal of time, do you, wasting your participants' time with stuff that you could have done in advance. But the number one, and this is true of an in-person workshop, if they walk into that room or they arrive on that online whiteboard and see a whole bunch of preparation has been done, people then comply more easily with what you're asking them to do. They can see where the progress is, they can see that this has been thought about, they can see you have a plan, and they're much more likely to follow you through that session and do what you want them to do in the session, contribute in the ways that you're hoping they will. So get your preparation done in the whiteboard, and then you can invite them in days before if you want to, and get people looking at it and thinking about their contribution. Or maybe I typically do an hour before so that they have a chance to have a look round, but I don't want them to spend hours and feel that they've got to sort of do all the thinking ahead of the workshop. After all, that's what we're doing in the workshop, isn't it?